So I call the meeting to order at 7:08 PM. This is the meeting of the Harbor Gateway North Neighborhood Council Planning and Land Use Committee. And Nancy, can you read over the committee members from the agenda and call the roll?
Yes. Rosalie Preston.
Present.
Hopefully I'm not saying this wrong. Salim.
Yes, Salim Mahunzi is not present.
Okay. Rebecca Rodriguez.
Not present.
Nancy here. RV Powell.
Here.
Dave Trejo.
Here.
Janisha Robinson. Not here. Luetta Watson.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a quorum. So did any of our attendees, oh, Tanya was here earlier, but she's disappeared. And there was this other young guy, but okay, Janisha's here now. So Janisha Robinson is present now.
Okay.
And Rebecca Rodriguez will be joining us shortly. It was, for both of them, it was back to school night.
Okay. Thank you.
So no one for general public comment. Approval of the minutes from the July 29th committee meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
I have a correction.
Okay,
It's minor, it's a transposition. Okay, on page 2 of the minutes. Page 2, line, number 6, line 2. It begins plan check. It should be NC after check. And the NC above the line needs to be deleted. It's a mere transposition, that's all.
so it should say plan check NC,
It's plan check neighborhood council, yes.
because I think on their website it's the other way, but we'll verify. Okay. So is there a motion to approve with the correction?
I move to accept with the correction. This is Janisha.
I second, this is Luke.
Okay. So Nancy, if you could just call the roll for the approval of the minute.
Okay. Sounds good. Rosalie Preston.
Yes.
Janisha Robinson. Janisha.
Yes.
Rebecca Rodriguez. Dave Trejo.
Yes.
Luetta Watson.
Yes.
RV Powell.
Yes.
Salim, not here, and Nancy, yes. Okay.
Okay, so the minutes are approved 600 as corrected.
Corrected.
All right, item 4. So further discussion of our comment letter on the proposed 6-story, 111 unit apartment building with 85 parking spaces and 18 affordable units at 11516 South Vermont Avenue in our Harbor Gateway North District 6. Okay, I see that our stakeholder Tanya Wary is present. Tanya, we're just getting ready to go over the latest draft of our comment letter on the 11516 South Vermont Avenue, and I don't know if you wanted to say anything in general about the project, and I think you'd mentioned that there was a fire recently. Let's see.
Oh, hi. How is everybody today?
Fine.
Thank you.
Hi. Oh no, I was just explaining that there was a huge fire in that location. Gosh, 2 days ago, I believe. And it yeah, it did a lot of damage over there. And I as I stated, it was on the all the news pretty much. So it was kind of like a I think it was a truck, one of the big rigs that blew up, and they had to let everything burn over there. They could really put out the fire with water. So they pretty much burned up I guess, the homeless encampment and whatever vehicle, well, truck or whatever it was on fire. So it's a really, really, really huge fire because it did make it to the news, actually all channels of the news. So yeah, it was a really big, huge fire.
Okay, I did see a link, so I will later send it out to the Planning and Land Use Committee members just for your awareness of the site. And I don't know if that would impact the approval. We're gonna let the planning deputy for Councilmember Harris Dawson know about it because, you know, if toxic substances were burned, it might mean that then the soil is gonna have to be cleaned. Okay, but I do want to mention that I did reach out to the city planner on the case. She verified that the applicant has still not submitted the requested document. So let me just read from her email, and her name is Anakani Hurtado. And she sent this Monday. The applicant has not submitted all of the pending documents needed to move the case forward yet. So we are not sure about the CPC hearing date yet. The case is at city planning. And then she just goes over the whole procedure, which we've heard before. They will create the staff report that goes to the City Planning Commission for the public hearing. When the application is deemed complete, we will have a hearing officer meeting where the applicant will present their case and the project planner will take any testimony from constituents. And just to note that for a previous case before the City Planning Commission regarding the large Prologis warehouse, that public hearing was held by Zoom. So it does tend to make it a little easier for people to participate rather than traveling down to City Hall. So, and then the applicant will have an opportunity to reply to any concerns, and the project planner will include all of the comments. So, oh, and she notes that a new planner is taking over the case, and her name is Maneri Roman. So we will be addressing our first letter to Roman. And also to note that I did email the applicant representative, the architect, Mr. Pormadori, and invited him to this meeting, expressed that we would like him to participate and provide some answers to questions we had, and mentioned, you know, the bicycle parking and the alley access, and to hear our suggestions for input, and he has not responded at all. So that will get mentioned in our final comment letter. And just to note that Rebecca Rodriguez did join us about 7:15. Okay, let me share the screen for the okay, so this is I believe it's the latest version. Lou, I do want to thank Dave Trejo for sending some suggested types of comments we could add in, including reference to the South LA Community Plan language, which we have to research further, and because this project is on a CPIO corner. Well, when the South LA Community Plan and the Southeast LA Community Plans were adopted, which was some years ago, 8 or 9 years ago now, the leading type of zoning for creating more density was creation of these CPIO corners. They're pretty much on all of the major intersections in those neighborhoods. So there's one at Main and Imperial Highway, Broadway and Imperial Highway, etc. And then that property from 115th South to the 105, that's all CPIO.
Excuse me, Rosalie, could you explain what that means because they're new?
Right, I'm trying to remember if I can remember. It's the community. I'll have to look it up. Let's see. Community Plan Implementation Ordinance. So it's a special ordinance, and you can, I believe if you look up the property address on Zemus, it will refer to that ordinance. And so it's a list of things that can and cannot be built on those properties. But it generally allows for greater height and density, even under the old community plan, which, you know, now so much of it has been superseded by state laws, especially regarding housing and density. But because of that ordinance, and we've learned this from past projects, there is a actual planner assigned in the Department of City Planning for these CPIO projects. So any project that has the CPIO in their case string, which actually this one doesn't, but anyway, it is under there. They actually review those properties when the application first comes in to make sure it fits those parameters. And I guess if it doesn't, they tell them and ask them to adjust their application. In any case, yes, Dave Trejo made some good suggestions, which not all of them are incorporated yet in this draft. And then Lou Watson, I can tell, spent a lot of time reviewing the latest draft and making the organization of it a lot better than it was. But I just want to stress, this is not the final version, and we do have time, but so now it begins, with the board voted our recommendations, which sets forth our comments and concerns
Please,
in
can you make this a little smaller, take away the paragraph markers, please? It's too big and it's confusing. It needs to be a little smaller if you don't mind. Thank you.
Is that better?
For me, it is. I don't know about for anyone else.
Okay. And Lou broke up my long run-on sentences too, which is good. And then she's just clarifying how they're getting the density bonus under that state law, AB 1287, which is also now incorporated in the city's municipal code. I don't think we would put proposed.
Rosalie, if you don't mind, would you read the letter word by word?
Okay, I just wanted to say maybe we should just say which has applied to be located, in any case. Okay, situated on a narrow lot. So then the concerns are listed. That the location would allow the project to tower over the abutting residential neighborhoods to the north and east, would result in creation of an adverse impact on the quality of life of those residents, as well as residents living in the project itself, adversely impact the commercial properties located along Vermont Avenue. Yeah, I think we have to choose a different verb to be. But locate next to the 105 Century Freeway westbound off-ramp. I think, or needs to say location.
Rosalie, excuse me, Rosalie. Are you gonna read out the letter as I requested to make it easier for us to know what you're talking about, please? Would you start over and just read out the paragraph word for word so that we can follow along and digest it? Then you can, as you go along, you can say what the changes are, and then we can make the changes as well. The way you're doing it is making it very confusing and hard for the rest of the members to follow along. My request is to please start over and read the letter word by word.
I'm okay. I'm going to continue reading without comment, but from D. Lack outdoor space at ground level for residents, children, and pets, and allow an opportunity for applicant to request numerous waivers of development standards for the project, such as to plant an inadequate number of trees and other landscaping to help offset, I think, locating next to the freeway off-ramp. Number 2, inadequate parking for 111 units. 3, location of the project site next to the 105 freeway, westbound off-ramp. And then it refers to our neighborhood council's involvement with the creation of the freeway adjacent advisory notice.
Rosalie, I'm going to ask you again. Would you please read this letter for our edification and not do what you're doing now?
In the interest of time, I'm trying to highlight
We have a lot
our key arguments.
We have
And
time. We want to make sure that we get this right. This is very important for our neighborhood council and for the stakeholders that live in District 6. What you're doing is confusing.
But this is not going to be the final version.
I understand that, but they need to see it, Rosalie. Is that so hard? Okay, I'm gonna ask the rest of the members. Is it okay what Rosalie is doing? Or am I wrong or being obstinate by asking that this letter is read word for word so that it is understandable? I will ask for a vote if necessary.
Okay, I'm just going to continue on. We note the deficiency of that notice and how badly it requires updating and strengthening. All residential housing should be prohibited within 1,000 feet of a freeway. And then per Cal EnviroScreen, this area has a score of 99.82% with a pollution burden score of greater than 96 to 99% and a population characteristic score of greater than 90%, which is very high. Number 4, at least 28 trees are required to be planted on the property and other landscaping to help offset locating next to the freeway. Applicant proposes 7 trees. The guidelines intent is for applicants to consider the impact of projects on design strategies that create human scale spaces in response to how people actually engage with their surroundings by prioritizing active street frontages, clear paths of pedestrian travel, legible wayfinding, and enhanced connectivity. We find there are misinterpretations and misrepresentations in many of the applicant's answers in the compliance review form. See examples below. And then there's pedestrian first design and the way so it's the guideline language, which is to promote a safe, comfortable, and accessible pedestrian experience for all. And then the applicant, used their wording, which really in most cases seem not to relate to those guidelines at all. Very off topic. Guideline 2, carefully incorporate vehicular access such that it does not degrade the pedestrian experience. Guideline 3, design projects to actively engage with streets and public space and maintain human scale. And then the second part is 360-degree design, which is under, and then guideline 4, organize and shape projects to recognize and respect surrounding context, reference to the applicant's statements relating to those. And then some language from the LA Municipal Code, Chapter 1.
Excuse me, would you please read that? Because that is our position, letting them know that they are not on topic and that we are explaining exactly what is supposed to be the case there.
Right, this is relating to the encroachment plane that Terry Osborne mentioned is one of the what do they call it? What is he asking for? The waivers, one of the waivers that the applicant is asking for, that she thought that the City Planning Commission and Department of City Planning would consider our arguments about. So this is a quotation from the LA Municipal Code, Chapter 1, and the Department of City Planning, single-family residential zone regulations and R1 variation zones language, which I hope that's still accurate, from 2017, that buildings are required to stay within a 45-degree angled encroachment plane starting 20 feet above the front and side yard setback. The encroachment plane in the proposed project is required to be at least 20 feet in height from the existing or finished grade. Actually, he's proposing no encroachment plane at all. It would all be straight up.
Rosalie, that is why it's necessary for you to read what we're saying, because that applicant is not being on topic. He's given his version of what the law says. That is why it's important for the members of this committee to know exactly what is what, and that we are citing the ordinance and the law, and that applicant is talking about something completely different to throw people off, perhaps, or maybe he doesn't know himself, but I cannot believe it. That is why it's important to read what's in green so that everyone knows that we have researched and we are citing what the city says. So please continue.
Applicant's proposal with its height and location to the south and west of the existing R1-1 homes will impact the ability to utilize solar panels due to shade emanating from the 6-story building. Locate, and then there's the reference to design guidelines or city or I believe it's design guidelines, which is locate and shape buildings to minimize disrupting users of neighboring buildings and minimize shadows and unnecessary shading on surrounding buildings, parks, and open spaces. And then the design guideline 5 is express a clear and coherent architectural idea. And then the applicant states that guideline 6 provide amenities that support community building and provide an inviting, comfortable user experience. The applicant references guideline 7, carefully arrange design elements and uses to protect site users. The applicant offers a block wall will be constructed along the southern property line to shield users closest to the freeway. The guidelines suggest utilizing landscaping and or berms to buffer occupants from nearby nuisances that emit noise and or pollutants, as well as suggests utilizing substantial vegetation, trees and shrubs along the freeway off-ramp side of the building and a sound wall covered with vines. Guideline 8, protect the site's unique natural resources and features. Guideline 9, configure the site layout, building massing, and orientation to lower energy demand and increase the comfort and well-being of users. So we would suggest locate, reconfigure, reorient buildings to minimize shadows and shading on nearby surrounding areas. Guideline 10, enhance green features to increase opportunities to capture stormwater and promote habitat, which I don't think really applies here, although capturing stormwater might. But recommendation: denial of application for applicant A, applicant requesting the waivers listed below. B, applicant requesting waivers 9 through 12 in the application. And C, contradictory statements made on the record by the applicant's representative, William Pormandari of the Paycan Corporation at the virtual PLU meeting on May 6th. So 1, waiver of the encroachment plane. And then again, it's quoted per the LA Municipal Code and Department of City Planning regulations. Buildings are required to stay within a 45-degree angled encroachment plane, starting at 20 feet above the front and side yard setbacks. And repeating that the encroachment plane is required at 20 feet in height. 2, waivers for the following standard setbacks. And that's what the applicant is proposing, that the rear yard reduction from 15 to 5, side yard reduction from 9 to 5 feet, side yard setback from 9 feet to 5 feet, alley side yard setback from 9 feet to 1 foot. Number 3, reduction in the required open space from 12,050 square feet to 4,529 square feet. The open space proposed by the applicant is the rooftop deck. 4, reduction in long-term bicycle parking from 80 parking spaces or the short-term guest bicycle parking of 8 parking spaces. Well, that's our suggestion, is utilizing the bike racks. Applicant has requested a waiver to have 0 bicycle parking spaces. In further support of denial, lack of proposals for number 5, windows for apartments on the north and east side of the building to be situated higher up on the walls and be narrow and rectangular in shape to help create privacy for those living below in the R1-1 zones. 6, exterior design with more articulation and different types of exterior finishes such as stone, metal, metal mesh, wood, and or stucco, as well as architectural elements that reduce the perceived mass of this large project. 7, exterior paint colors such as light golden beige with a lighter brown, shades of light green or light blue to help the building better blend into the surrounding neighborhood. We know white paint results in a dingy, dirty surfaces. A deep gray color would cause the building to appear even more massive in scale in proximity to the surrounding R1-1 zone area. Additionally, when comparing the application with what was stated on the record at the May 6th Planning and Land Use Committee meeting, the record shows many contradictory statements were made by applicants' representatives, such as 1, the entrance to the project for vehicles would be from a driveway on the Vermont side of the property with a security gate, but under pedestrian first design guideline. The answer is applicant states the project will incorporate the alley to the north coming down from 115th Street for use as the vehicular point of access to the site. The site map clearly shows vehicle access is from the alley. Closure of access to the block of, this is something we recommend separately, actually, the closure of access. Number 2, 100 bicycle parking spaces would be provided to encourage residents to use them for transportation rather than owning vehicles. The applicants requested waivers to have 0 bicycle parking spaces for residents and guests. We also bring to your attention applicants' representative attended our May 6th Planning and Land Use Committee meeting held virtually. However, no one representing the applicant has attended any subsequent meeting nor contacted us that they would not attend. We find this to be unacceptable and disrespectful. So any other further comments? We still have a lot of work to do to, put in more of the legal language in the municipal code but it's, shaping up a lot better.
I would like to hear what Dave is recommending, please.
I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Dave just,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think I sent over language, a while back after the last meeting. So I'd have to jump back into, the email that I sent over to look at it.
Yeah, some of the citations from the codes, and I did incorporate some of it, but not all of it yet. So now we have a better structure to plug in some of them. And he did suggest looking at the South LA community plan language, just to see if we could use any of that. The problem is that a lot of things have been superseded now by state law, but we could use what we can. Okay, otherwise we'll keep working on this and make sure we have a public comment letter ready in a timely manner, even though we're really not sure when this project is going to be moving forward. So item number, Lou,
I
yeah,
have my hand up.
okay.
I am asking each one of the planning and land use committee members to either download the letter so that you have a hard copy to work with. I am also asking that the chair and the secretary and/or the secretary provide us with the sheet. The sheet is what the applicant referred to with those numbers. They were in black. We don't know what they are. We don't know what he's asking for, but we need to know what it is so that when we come back, we will be prepared and we will know what we're talking about. We also need to know, we need to have the link for the sheet. We need, what was the third thing I asked for? It was
The copy of the citywide design guidelines compliance review form, which I believe has been sent out. But I can send it out again.
There were three things that I asked for. Oh no, I asked for a screen share and I asked for those two links. So that the members will know what we're talking about. And we can have an informed conversation and discussion without wasting a lot of time when we come back. We won't be back until October. So
We'll be back late in September.
whenever we do have time to go over this stuff. And all I'm asking is that we be provided with what we need so that we won't waste a lot of time. Thank you.
Okay, so now let me pull up our last version of our planning vision statement. Okay, so this is something that we worked on a few years ago, and it seemed like it's a good time to review it and edit it, although when I read it over, I thought it was pretty good, but it was based on something that another neighborhood council, I think especially Mar Vista and maybe some others on the west side had come up with, or it came out of the Sustainability Alliance. So there's a lot of language in here about sustainability and environmental considerations relating to energy and tree shading, etc. So let's just kind of quickly go through it and then committee members can note maybe areas that we should add in or strengthen. The whole idea of the vision statement is that whenever a project was proposed, that we would send this to the applicant so that they would be aware of what we're looking for and ideally what would be included in their project. The problem is that nowadays we hardly get to see these applicants. So one section is about air quality. We recommend building housing at least 1,500 feet from any freeway. Install air quality sensors for PM 2.5 and other automobile-related emission byproducts for monitoring on all buildings. Where housing is built near freeways, thick groves of plants and trees extending above the multi-story housing should be planted to block some of the pollution and visually mask the freeways. Where industrial uses are located near sensitive uses such as housing, they should be placed at least 1,000 feet away from the sensitive uses and provide a buffer zone which includes trees and other landscaping. So this one we might want to incorporate, or throughout this, we may want to incorporate some of the language from the new updated Harbor Gateway Community Plan. On building design, where feasible and safe, preserve existing structures and add stories to increase density. When preserving the existing structure, ensure that it is up to code, including but not limited to earthquake retrofitting. Consider preserving historic buildings. When building within 50 feet of an R1 parcel, implement a terraced step back of mass to minimize encroachment, which we referred to in the previous letter. And where we have city code, maybe we should put an exact citation. Avoid placing long blank walls where pedestrian activity is anticipated. Add windows and or active uses on the ground floor. Use articulation, breakups of the mass, visual sight lines, and other architectural features to reduce the perceived mass. Avoid a boxy style. Leverage passive building design. Situate buildings to maximize cross ventilation and daylight to minimize heat gain, especially from south and west exposures. Carve out building mass with courtyards, light well, terraces, etc. whenever floor plates exceed 40 feet in depth. Prioritize pedestrian circulation at street level, make it accessible, prominent, and clear. Have doors opening to the sidewalk. Minimize shadows and unnecessary shading on surrounding buildings, parks, and open spaces. Orient large windows to avoid heat gain in summer and gain heat in the winter. At entrances and windows include south-facing window shading. So that's something for this project because it's got such an expanse on the south side. So, such as cantilevers or movable shade screens to provide shading and reduce heat daytime heat gain. Utilize natural vegetation and daylight, incorporate operable windows and light wells. Place stairs near the building entrance. Ensure shading that is appropriate to solar orientation. Provide shelter from the sun and rain for pedestrians along the public right-of-way. Use vegetation to increase energy efficiency. Install double pane windows and doors if made of glass. Avoid overshading of adjacent buildings by new construction and allow space for nearby buildings to use solar panels. For buildings taller than 40 feet, get a shading study by a city-approved vendor before meeting with the neighborhood council. So a shading study is another thing. Place trash, recycling, and green waste receptacles within the building site area and not in the setbacks. Use wider reflective paint on rooftops and light paving materials to reflect heat. Use fully shielded light fixtures to limit light pollution. Use sky-sensitive LED lighting. Except for certain non-residential areas, limit strength and height of outdoor lighting. Install outdoor lighting that is dark sky compliant and minimizes light pollution. Prioritize pedestrian access over automobile access. Orient parking and driveways toward the rear or side of buildings and away from the public right of way.
You hear me? It's up on or it's down somewhere.
Minimize the number and width of driveway entrances.
Itty bitty.
Tanya, could you mute yourself? Let's see.
Oh, Rosalie?
Okay. Use alleys and side streets for vehicle access where appropriate instead of interrupting the primary street with driveway entrances. So the project actually is doing this. Design sidewalk pedestrian zones at least 5 feet wide. Avoid street widening in favor of new sidewalks. In multifamily buildings taller than 3 stories along commercial corridors, incorporate mixed-use community retail space. Under green space, increase green space, create more community gardens and green public gathering spaces. Consider creation of indoor growing areas. Incorporate shaded open spaces such as plazas, courtyards, pocket parks, and terraces. Improve existing alleys with appropriate lighting and other design features, such as landscaping. So that's something we could suggest too. Consider green walls for noise. For developments that are built near freeways, engage an acoustics consultant to design wall details, window specifications, and other mitigation efforts to improve the quality of life within the development. Incorporate landscaping around the development that will absorb some of the sound. Streetscape, bury the power utility lines where feasible, maintain scenic vistas and create vistas between buildings if possible. Sustainability, consider using roof gardens for insulation and greening. If a roof deck is planned, use soft or green surfaces to reduce noise and the urban heat island effect. Install insulation inside the walls and ceiling. Use heat pumps for heating and cooling. Design hardscape and landscape to allow infiltration of rainwater and or stormwater capture to reduce water use and water costs. Use porous pavers in lieu of asphalt. Require applicants to use a cool street coating on all parts of the street. Install water filters in units to reduce use of bottled water. Install a gray water system to collect and clean wastewater and use for landscaping. Use non-potable water for irrigation. Install dual plumbing for toilets. In multi-level buildings, add chutes to provide easy access to recycling and composting. Install solar panels, which apparently is required, but I don't know that he mentioned solar panel. Provide setbacks from the sidewalk that are large enough to accommodate large canopy trees. Install electric vehicle charging conduits in all parking spots. Provide bicycle parking for residents. And then we included a few exteriors of buildings that we thought had some better design, even though, you know, they're pretty basic, but at least they have articulation and some interesting window patterns. So any comments on what we should add or edit? Well, we'll let people
A
think about
question
it.
with the letter, so when somebody do an application, we send that to them as to what we're looking for and what the municipal codes in, right? And also the latest things if something happened to come about.
Yes, that's the idea. It's just
Okay.
that so many of these projects are by right, and you know, we have trouble getting the applicants to meet with us, and by the time the projects get approved often before we even know about it. But still, there are some projects that we can send it to, and some other neighborhood council people would like to work on making them, well, the city charter is being revised. Apparently, they're gonna work on aspects of the planning code, which this would be a good place to more strongly require that applicants meet before application with the council office, and then the council office could arrange for a meeting with the neighborhood council and other community groups to review the project in its early stages so that these type of suggestions could be incorporated. And then when the applicant applied, they would face less pushback later on, and be more welcoming into the community. But that isn't happening now. And I know, I mean, the Department of City Planning in the past used to really encourage applicants to meet with neighborhood councils, but I don't know if they're doing that much now because so many of these projects are by right. But anyway, that is the goal. So if anyone has other specific things to incorporate, we'll work on it more at our next meeting. So moving on to item 6, reports on other planning and land use issues. Item A, the Prologis Warehouse, Vermont Redondo project. The Plum Committee, I think many people already received notice that the Plum Committee would be meeting on September 9th, but that is not accurate because the reason they were going to meet is because there were two appeals of the City Planning Commission's approval. And one of the applicants would be on vacation during that time, so it will be rescheduled sometime in October. And I learned today from the planner handling the case that there will be a new public notice, so for the exact October date. The Plum Committee meets on a Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock at City Hall. People can already submit comment to the council file for that item. And however, on the day of the meeting, public comment can only be made in person. They do not allow online public comment. You can observe the meeting and listen in though, through a link. B, the Harbor Gateway Community Plan update at the Plum Committee meeting on August 26th, and that was Council File 25-0775. Actually, that was the wrong number. It was actually 0774, I believe. In any case, the Neighborhood Council did submit our last letter to that council file. Lou Watson and I attended that meeting. I spoke for the up to 3 minutes for the official Neighborhood Council statement, and Lou gave a stakeholder comment. They did allow up to 2 minutes for comments that day, but you can never be sure if if they will. It depends, I guess, on how many people are speaking, but if sometimes they only allow 1 minute. So the Plum Committee did approve the Harbor Gateway Community Plan update. Our Councilmember McCosker spoke in favor of it, and they voted 5-0 to approve it. It's going on to City Council for their approval in I think a week or so, and then it goes to the city attorney. They draft all the legal language for the plan, and it's incorporated into the general plan of the city. And then it goes back to the Plum Committee apparently for a final vote on all that legal language. And the final approval is expected next May. But the Plum Committee did stress that this is among the first community plans, including the Wilmington Harbor City Community Plan, that incorporates environmental justice language and buffering of industrial uses that are close to residential and other sensitive uses. Item C, the Arco gas station at 854 West El Segundo Boulevard. Finally, after 4.5 years of remodeling, it reopened on August 18th for a soft opening. The owner will let us know when the official grand opening happens. I did see that when it opened last week, they were advertising reduced rates of gasoline discounts. The last time I talked to her, she said that their family actually owns 5 gas stations just in the city of Los Angeles, and that they had hoped to remodel some of the others, but after their experience with this one, her father said they just couldn't go through all this. So we may be able to have her at one of our future planning and land use committee meetings, to hear in person all the issues with particularly building and safety, and when inspectors would come out, there would be approvals, and then another inspector would somehow show up, or their supervisor wouldn't pass it with that approval, and then they'd have to do something else. And, you know, the whole coordination aspect of building and safety just really needs to be improved. D, the update on oil well issues, particularly the resident on 129th Street is still seeing water appear in front of the curb, in front of her house. The neighbor across the street now says that he does also feels the drilling, so we need to work with him so that he's reporting to the city to document. Item E, the ED projects. So the first one is 700 West 120th Street. I know that the attorneys that the Athens Boulevard Block Club hired met with, I believe, the applicant and the city of Los Angeles representatives at the court earlier in August, but I didn't hear what happened. I don't know if Lou Watson is aware. But that lawsuit seems to be continuing. So nothing has happened there yet. Item 2, 1134 East 120th Street.
I'm sorry, Rosalie, if I may speak to the
Oh,
matter
Janisha,
regarding,
yeah.
yes, Athens on the Hill. So, yes, they had court on the 16th. The developer and architect are actually the same one as the project, I think where's that, Larchmont? So they did mention perhaps just kind of joining efforts with the other neighborhood council, since we are, kind of working against the same entity in this matter. So far, the only conversation offered back from the attorney, or get from the builder, is that, they will be willing to kind of just put things on hold, but we will need to pay them like $250,000 or something to like cover like the, what stuff that they've already had to pay for their own, I guess, legal fees and what have you, which of course we are not interested in doing. But as of yet, it's just a matter of trying to find ways that we can address the issue, the matter, whether it's just establishing protections for our community, for our neighborhood, or I don't know, them just coming to some more sensible plan that would fit into the just a more reasonable plan for adding the housing to our community. So I guess ultimately at this juncture there isn't anything else that is happening. We're just kind of at a stalemate.
Okay, all right, thank you. And yeah, so I think we've mentioned in the past that the applicant is also involved with that other project in the Larchmont area. And then from that, I learned that the applicant is also involved with another project in East Hollywood and even in the Hollywood Hills West. So there's 4 different projects that we know about connected to this applicant. And everyone is having the same exact issues.
We wanted to say thank you for submitting the letter on our behalf, but we would also like to just kind of connect with those other neighborhood councils or groups that are, seeking to have more reasonable negotiation or communication with them.
Right, I did connect the leaders of the Athens Boulevard Block Club with Larchmont has a community group, so they know about them. I'll have to link them to a person on who knows about the other two projects.
Thank you. Thank you, Rosalie.
And then on a 1134 East 120th Street, that one is, that applicant actually met with us last September. I looked it up. And, we had suggestions for improvement. It's another one without any parking. It's right on the corner of 120th and Central Avenue, where the Taco Pete's used to be. The main residents who would be impacted surround that site on the west and the south, and but they live most of them in the county of Los Angeles. But apparently, I know during the phase when the buildings were abandoned and the homeless were living in them, and then when the site was fenced and the homeless were still there, those residents really complained a lot to Council District 15. But in any case, earlier this month when I was taking the bus from Magic Johnson Park to the Hollywood Bowl, it went up Central Avenue, and I got to look down into that property, and I thought it looked like they were starting construction. And today, earlier, I was up in that area and I drove past, and yes, they've created the base of the foundation, and they had a lot of wood that they were bringing in. So I believe that our Council District 15 Planning and Land Use deputy had expected the applicant to discuss things more with her, but I doubt that he did. So they're just going right ahead. So we'll just hope for the best, hope that he does incorporate some of our suggestions in the final project. Item 3 under that topic, 11840 South Central Avenue. I looked that up on Building and Safety, and the plans are all completed. It's going to be 70 units, 4 stories, with only about 4 parking spaces. Item F, Solar Impact Project. I did reach out to Solar Impact, one of the people who responded in the past. There's been no response. From looking up the 2 projects, both on the City Planning Department website under their case numbers and under Building and Safety, the one at 110 to 112 West Imperial Highway, which was to be a 5-story, 120 unit building. The application was withdrawn in April of last year. They, the lot had a lot of overgrown vegetation. The fencing cover was all torn. That's been removed. the lot looks better, so I don't know if they're gonna reapply or sell it to someone else. It's up in the air. At 248 West Imperial Highway at the corner of Broadway. That one is listed as being administratively closed as of March 2025. And I tried to find out from the planner why that was, but that was under the CPIO planner, and now they've changed which planner covers the CPIOs, and the other one didn't really respond. Item G, SB 79. The city council did vote to oppose that measure, which would allow for apartment buildings to be built in residential R1-1 zones within a half a mile of transit, which would cover our whole neighborhood council area. So the city council voted to support, and most of the neighborhood councils, including us who had filed community impact statements, supporting the city council being opposed. There were a few neighborhood councils that wanted the city council to support SB 79. But I think I got an email today that it was coming up for a vote. It's in the assembly now. The Senate did pass it, and I believe our state senator Laura Richardson voted for it, even though many of her constituents and many of the cities in her district asked her to oppose it. Item H, other planning and land use issues. I just wanted to mention that, and I need to email it to the committee. I've been wondering about the LA Regional Water Quality Board's oversight of the property where Prologis Warehouse wants to build for the soil and water remediation. And I tried looking it up because there should have been some more recent reports that we haven't received, and it was very difficult. So I asked the engineer overseeing the Pacific Electric Cord, is what it's known as, is that case. Anyway, he sent me links. And so I haven't looked at all of them. One of them is 75 pages, but it's very, I think that's the one I'll send first because it's very revealing because it gives a good history of the whole case. There have been 2 soil sampling sites installed within my neighborhood, which is south of Redondo Beach Boulevard. One is in the Parkway along Orchard, and one is in the Parkway of a resident's property on 154th. Yes, Lou, did you have a question or statement?
Yes, I do. Okay, I would like to let each member of the committee know, please look at your emails because a copy of the letter in item number 4 was sent to each of you, so you have it for yourself. You can have a hard copy so that you can read it for yourself, and you will have it on hand for the next meeting. The other thing is that number 2 is I am going to make a motion, ask for a second and a vote. My motion is that to ensure adequate time for discussion and input, the agenda is streamlined and non-urgent items are set for a future date. Agenda item number 5 tonight could have been placed on a different calendar or table because it was not urgent and it took up time that could have been used for item number 5. There was nothing urgent about the planning vision. And the item number 4, we were not given adequate time so that we could fully discuss it. So my motion is that at the next PLU meeting, the item regarding the 1151816 South Vermont is given extra time, that the agenda is not overloaded, so that members can fully discuss it, have input, and if not, take a vote on the letter, at least be better prepared than we are tonight. I am asking for a second, and I'm asking for us to vote on that, to have more time on the next agenda for that item. Can I-
So there is nothing on the agenda that will allow us to vote on a motion, but your comments are taken into consideration for the next agenda.
Thank you, and I would ask you, PLU members, to look at your emails from me and download the attachment so you know what the letter said for yourself. Thank you.
So are there any other planning and land use issues that people are aware of that they wanted to bring up? So the next meeting, we should be able to hold on Thursday, September 25th. Does that work for most people?
That'll work for me.
Excuse me, I have to go get my calendar. This is Lou. Yes, that's fine. It's fine with me.
Okay, so our next meeting will be Thursday, September 25th, 7 p.m. via Zoom. It is now,
Sorry, I'm looking at my calendar. I won't, I'll be on a camping trip with students on that week, so I won't be able to join. I'll be out in the San Bernardino Mountains.
okay. Thank you, Dave.
Well, Dave, can you email us your suggestions for that letter?
I can, I'll do like a BCC if I can, or if I can send it, ask Rosalie to
Right,
send it.
there's gonna be another version though before that meeting, so it will,
I'm quite aware of that, Rosalie. I'm just merely asking Dave to submit what he has so that we can incorporate it and know what it says.
okay, we will be adjourning this meeting at 8:28 p.m. Thanks for attending.